Welcome back to Frank Brock Art. We're going to draw one of Fantastic Four's most beloved characters, and that's Herbie. I wonder what I would look like if I was some kind of mechanical robot or whatever. I think it might be cool. Let's get into it. Alright guys, we're diving into Herbie here. Now, I know there's some people that just likes to look at the videos, but sometimes it's good to get a little history about some of the characters I draw. So here we go. So, Herbie, he was created for the Fantastic Four animated series back in 1978. But fun fact, he was designed for none other than, or rather he was designed by none other than Jack Kirby himself. Now, the name stands for Humanoid Experimental Robot B-Type Integrated Electronics. At the time, the Human Torch wasn't available for the show, so Herbie stepped in and, became like the team's quirky little robot sidekick. Now, since then, he showed up in comics as Reed Richards' lab assistant, some comic relief and, even important parts of the, he did like some important parts of like inside of the Fantastic Four headquarters. Now, he might be or might not be, as flashy as the rest of the team, but, Herbie represents Marvel's mix of heart and humor and science, Now, for this drawing, I want to kind of merge, some different interpretations. We recently had the Fantastic Four First Steps, Herbie, and, he looks pretty cool. They took a modern take of like that world that they were in to, because there were some things that were advanced, but there was some parts of styles that were, very dated, like in the 60s, 70s-ish, kind of style. So they kind of merged the two when when they created Herbie. So, he was definitely ahead of his time at that time. Or maybe right in the mix, maybe. So, he was, he didn't have the glowing and all that stuff, but he was polished, and, especially like in old runs of the comic, Jack Kirby, he had like a different type of design for Herbie, sorry about that. A different design for Herbie. And it was more like, it looked more a little futuristic, in my opinion, because more like curves and, he was floating, but the one from the movie, he was more like, had like wheels and stuff like that. I can't remember if he flew or not, maybe, I don't know. At least I don't remember. But anyway, in the comics, he flew, he could fly or whatever. So, but, for pretty much, I blended the two ideas together, and you can kind of see it, a little bit of inspiration from the movie, and then also, some inspiration from the comics and stuff as well. So, but anyway, now I think you probably noticed as well, like the shapes and the circles and the cylinders and spheres and stuff like that, pretty much makes up Herbie as a whole, and I just kind of added the details in, kind of, add in the line work, kind of, fine tune him a little bit, I try to add little design elements, line work and stuff to kind of, help blend in the two inspirations from the movie and from the comics and stuff as well. So, in this, my interpretation, I have him actually flying in this one. So I thought it'd be kind of cool. So, also another thing, a lot of people laugh off like Herbie, like as the goofy character, but honestly, he represents the Fantastic Core theme. That's like family. It's all about family. Now he's, not there to like fight Galactus or punch out Dr. Doom or anything. He's more of like a knowledgeable assistant and, comic relief, when things get a little too heavy. So, and I thought he was a perfect addition. I didn't want to leave him out, even though I had all the major 4 characters in there. But I was like, might as well just add them all in there. Just put H.E.R.B.I.E in there, I didn't just want to add Spider-Man and, She-Hulk and stuff. You got to put H.E.R.B.I.E in there, man. So I'm hoping I don't go over my time, but I'm trying to make it short. So, as Marvel continues to expand the Fantastic Four, I'm hoping, that they show a little bit more of, H.E.R.B.I.E and, just like they do with like Vision and Jarvis and, the other robots and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll see some more in the future. But here you go, H.E.R.B.I.E from the Fantastic Four. First steps, man. But, at least my interpretation of them. Watching them come to life was really cool. I think I really like how, it all came together. So, but if you like this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of my Marvel-inspired artwork, man. So, and if you have any more questions, hey, just, drop a comment, tell me who's your favorite Marvel character, and, let me know if you want me to draw something in particular, let me know. Maybe I have time, maybe I won't, we'll see. But yeah, until then, next time, keep creating and always think. Yeah, I don't know what to think, but just, always keep drawing, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all those subscribers out there. Thanks for believing in your boy. True believers, I am out.